What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actors finally reaches his breaking point live on national television? When years of patience and professionalism snap in the most unexpected place. Today, we're diving into the shocking moment Danny DeVito lost his cool on The View, and trust me, you've never seen anything quite like this. The tension in the studio was thick enough to cut with a knife, and what Joy Behar said next left everyone in stunned silence. It all started like any other interview. DeVito was there to promote his latest project, expecting some lighthearted banter and a few laughs. But things took a sharp turn when Joy opened with a smirk and a question that set the tone for what was to come. "So, Danny, you've been in Hollywood for decades. Tell us, what do you think about all these young actors today complaining about everything? Back in your day, people just did their jobs without all the drama, right?" Danny raised an eyebrow, keeping his tone measured. "Well, Joy, every generation faces its own challenges. These young actors are dealing with social media, public pressure, and mental health struggles that weren't even talked about when I started." Joy scoffed. "Oh, please. Mental health, social media? Give me a break. When I was coming up, we didn't have safe spaces or participation trophies. We had real problems. These kids are just soft." The room went quiet. Danny's trademark grin faded. "I wouldn't call anxiety and depression being soft, Joy. That kind of thinking is dangerous." But Joy doubled down. "Come on, Danny. You're from Jersey. You know what tough is." These rich actors whining about their feelings. It's embarrassing. They should be grateful instead of complaining. That's when Danny's patience cracked. He set his coffee mug down hard enough to echo through the studio. "Grateful? Success doesn't protect you from mental illness. Some of the most successful people I know have fought their hardest battles in silence." Joy leaned forward, her tone sharp. "Everyone's a victim now. What happened to personal responsibility?" The audience was dead silent. Danny's jaw clenched as he fired back. "You want to talk about responsibility? When a young actor takes their own life because of pressure, you think that's just lack of responsibility?" Joy didn't flinch. "If someone can't handle fame, maybe they shouldn't chase it. Plenty of people would kill for that chance." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Danny's face flushed red as he stood up, his voice trembling with restrained fury. "Do you hear yourself, Joy? You just said mental health is a choice. That depression is weakness. That's not tough. That's ignorance." Joy smirked again, unaware she'd crossed the line. "I said what I said. Happiness is a mindset. If people stayed positive, they wouldn't be depressed." Danny's chair scraped loudly against the floor as he rose to his full height. "You think it's that simple? Tell that to the people who fight every day just to stay alive. Tell that to the ones who didn't make it." The studio was electric now. No laughter, no applause, just shock. Danny's voice dropped to a growl. "You can joke about a lot of things, Joy, but mocking pain isn't comedy, it's cruelty." He took a deep breath, turned toward the audience, and said quietly, "If talking about mental health makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's exactly why we need to keep talking about it." And with that, Danny DeVito walked off the set, leaving the hosts, the crew, and millions of viewers speechless. Joy's voice rose an octave, her frustration seeping through. "So now I'm ignorant for believing in personal responsibility and positive thinking?" Danny didn't hesitate. "You're ignorant for dismissing the real struggles of an entire generation," he shot back. "You're ignorant for suggesting mental health issues are just a matter of attitude. And you're especially ignorant for using this platform to spread dangerous misinformation about something you clearly don't understand." Behind the cameras, producers were waving frantically, trying to de-escalate. But it was too late. Danny had crossed the point of no return, and Joy had just struck the final nerve. "You know what, Joy?" he said, his voice echoing through the studio. "I've been in this business for over 50 years. I've worked with hundreds of actors, young and old. I've seen brilliant, talented people destroy themselves because they believed exactly what you just said. That their pain wasn't real, that they just needed to toughen up." Joy tried to interrupt, but Danny cut her off. "Overreacting?" he snapped, laughing bitterly. "You just told millions of viewers that mental health is an attitude problem. You dismissed the struggles of everyone watching who lives with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and I'm the one overreacting?" The other host sat frozen, unsure whether to step in or let the moment play out. The studio audience was utterly silent, riveted by the raw emotion pouring from the usually lighthearted actor. Joy tried to steady herself. Look, Danny, I'm not saying mental health isn't real. I'm just saying people today are too quick to use it as an excuse. Danny's temper finally broke. An excuse? An excuse for what, Joy? Being human? Struggling? Do you think Robin Williams used depression as an excuse? Do you think Philip Seymour Hoffman used addiction as an excuse? These were geniuses who fought battles you can't even begin to imagine. Joy's face flushed, her tone defensive. That's not what I meant, and you know it. I'm talking about these entitled young actors who play the victim every time something doesn't go their way. Danny stepped closer to the table, his voice sharp. Entitled? You're sitting on national television with a platform that reaches millions, using it to spread ignorance and stigma. And you're calling them entitled? If that's not entitlement, I don't know what is. Joy snapped back, her voice cracking slightly. I have every right to my opinion. This is America, Danny nodded coldly. You absolutely do. And I have the right to tell you that your opinion is dangerous, uninformed, and frankly, disgusting. The word hit like a thunderclap. Joy's mouth fell open. Excuse me? Did you just call my opinion disgusting? I called it what it is, Danny said evenly. It's disgusting to minimize people's pain. It's disgusting to feed the stigma that keeps people from getting help. And it's disgusting to sit on a show like this and spread misinformation that could literally cost lives. Joy shot to her feet, matching his intensity. How dare you lecture me on what I can or cannot say on my own show? I've been doing this for decades. I don't need some actor telling me how to do my job. Danny let out a bitter laugh. Your job? Is your job to spread ignorance? To shame people for their mental health struggles? Because if it is, you're doing it perfectly. The studio was electric with tension. The cameras zoomed in, capturing every word, every expression. Joy tried to defend herself, but her voice wavered. I'm not shaming anyone. I'm just saying people need to take responsibility for their own happiness. Danny leaned in, eyes blazing. And what about the people who are taking responsibility, Joy? The ones in therapy, on medication, fighting every day to stay afloat? Are they just not trying hard enough for you? That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said, Danny thundered. You told people mental health is just attitude. You told them to think positive like that's a cure. Do you realize how dangerous that is? Do you understand there are people watching right now who might stop their treatment because you just told them their illness is all in their head? Joy's confidence cracked, her voice unsteady. I never said anyone should stop taking medication. Danny shook his head. You didn't have to say it, Joy. You implied it. And sometimes that's even worse. Danny's voice cut through the tense silence like a blade. When you tell someone their depression is just a bad attitude, what do you think happens next, Joy? When you tell someone their anxiety means they're just soft, where do you think that leads? The other hosts sat frozen, glancing between the two like spectators at a match they couldn't stop but didn't dare join. Joy crossed her arms, her voice trembling slightly. I think you're putting words in my mouth. Danny tilted his head. Am I? He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Should I play back what you said? Because I'm pretty sure everyone here heard the same thing I did. The audience murmured in agreement, and Joy's face flushed crimson. She could feel the tide turning against her. Fine, she snapped. Maybe I could have phrased it better. But my point still stands. Too many people use mental health as a crutch instead of doing the hard work to fix their lives. Danny blinked. Disbelief etched across his face. A crutch? Did you just call mental health a crutch on live television? Do you even hear yourself right now? Joy backpedaled immediately. I didn't say mental health itself was a crutch. I said some people use it as one. Danny's tone hardened. Who, Joy? Who exactly are you talking about? Which young actors are faking depression for attention? Which ones are pretending to have anxiety? Go ahead, name them. Joy opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I'm speaking generally, she stammered. Danny shook his head. No, you're not. You're making dangerous, baseless accusations about real people. You're reinforcing the same tired stereotypes that have silenced and shamed people with mental illness for generations. The studio was so quiet you could hear the hum of the cameras. Every eye was locked on the confrontation. You know what the real problem is, Joy? Danny continued, his voice low but charged. The real problem is people like you who think they get to decide whose pain deserves compassion, who think that unless someone's suffering is visible, it doesn't count. Joy's jaw tightened. I'm not judging anyone's pain. I'm just saying some people handle adversity better than others. Danny threw his hands up, incredulous. And there it is. Some people handle adversity better. Translation? Some people are stronger. Some are weaker. Some just aren't trying hard enough. Do you realize how toxic that mindset is? Joy's cheeks were now a deep shade of red, her voice defensive. You're twisting my words to make me look bad. Danny's reply was ice cold. I don't need to twist anything, Joy. You're doing that all by yourself. One of the other hosts finally spoke up weakly. Maybe we should take a commercial break. No, Danny interrupted firmly, his gaze never leaving Joy. We're not taking a break. We're going to finish this, because this conversation actually matters. Joy straightened her shoulders, trying to regain her composure. Fine, you want to finish it? Let's finish it. I stand by what I said. This generation is too sensitive, too entitled, too eager to play the victim card. Danny's voice dropped, filled with disbelief. The victim card? He shook his head slowly. Joy, I've met real victims. I've held the hands of young actors in hospital rooms after suicide attempts. I've spoken at funerals for people who couldn't find a way out of the pain you're mocking right now. And you call that playing the victim card? The emotion in his voice was raw, almost painful to hear. A few audience members wiped away tears. Joy's expression softened slightly, but her tone remained stubborn. That's tragic, Danny, it really is. But those are extreme cases. I'm talking about the everyday whining and complaining. The people who act like their lives are impossible when they're living in luxury. Danny's composure cracked completely. Their lives are hard, Joy. Do you think fame makes you immune to suffering? That money erases trauma? That success cures depression? Joy shook her head. I think money gives people resources that most don't have. They have access to the best doctors, the best therapy. So what's their excuse? Danny laughed bitterly. Their excuse? Their excuse for what? Being human. For having the same brain chemistry as millions of others who struggle every single day, no matter how much they earn? Joy sighed, her patience fading. All I'm saying is, it's hard to sympathize when these young actors complain about their mental health while living in mansions and driving luxury cars. Danny pointed at her, his voice rising. And that right there is the problem, Joy. You think comfort cancels out pain. You think wealth means wellness? But the truth is, human suffering doesn't check your bank balance first. When you tell someone their pain only counts if they're broke, what message do you think you're sending? You think suffering only matters when it comes wrapped in poverty, that pain loses its meaning when success enters the picture. That's not how mental health works, Joy. That's not how people work. Joy folded her arms, defiant. I think perspective matters. I think gratitude matters. And I think too many of these young people have lost sight of both. Perspective, Danny repeated, nodding slowly. All right, let's talk about perspective. When a young actor smiles for cameras on a red carpet, maybe they're fighting the urge to panic. When they sit for interviews, maybe they're holding back tears. And when they go home to those mansions you love to mention, they might be completely alone, terrified by their own thoughts. That's very dramatic, Joy said with a dismissive laugh. But they still have privileges most people don't. You're right, Danny replied, surprising her. They do have advantages. But you know what else they have? People like you telling them their pain isn't real. They have talk show hosts and pundits minimizing their suffering because it doesn't fit your idea of what real struggle looks like. The studio was dead silent. Even the crew had stopped moving. I never said their pain isn't real, Joy protested. You said mental health is just attitude, Danny reminded her. You said it's a choice, that people just need to toughen up. If that's not denying their pain, then what is it? Joy opened her mouth, but no defense came out. I think we'll just have to agree to disagree, she said finally. No, Danny said, his tone sharp. We're not agreeing to disagree. This isn't about opinions, Joy. It's about human decency. It's about whether we keep feeding stigma or start showing compassion. I am compassionate, Joy snapped. Really? Danny raised an eyebrow. Because what you've shown today doesn't look like compassion. It looks like judgment and ignorance wrapped in condescension. Producers were signaling frantically off camera, desperate to cut to commercial. You know what your problem is, Danny? Joy shot back. You're too politically correct. Too afraid to say some people are just stronger than others. And you know what your problem is? Danny countered. You think strength means silence. You think pretending everything's fine makes you brave. But that's not strength, Joy. That's denial. That's stupidity. Joy's jaw dropped. How dare you? How dare I? Danny stepped closer. How dare I call out toxic rhetoric when I hear it? How dare I defend people who are struggling? How dare I use my platform to fight for empathy instead of mocking it? You're being incredibly disrespectful, Joy said weakly. I'm being honest, Danny replied. It only feels disrespectful because you're used to people nodding along. But someone needs to tell you that what you said today was wrong, and apparently that someone is me. The confrontation had reached its breaking point. Joy slumped back in her chair, shaken. Danny stood tall, steadying his breath. I think we've said enough, Joy muttered, avoiding his eyes. Have we? Danny asked quietly. Because I don't think you've learned anything from this. I don't think you realize how dangerous your words are. And I don't think you care about the people who might be hurt by them. Joy said nothing. The silence was heavy. Danny turned to the camera, his tone soft but resolute. To anyone watching who's struggling with mental health, your pain is real. Your struggles are valid. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. With that, he straightened his jacket and walked off set. The audience sat in stunned silence, watching one of the most powerful moments in daytime television unfold. Joy stared at the empty chair across from her, her confidence gone. This wasn't just a clash between two celebrities. It was a raw, public reckoning about empathy, stigma, and what it truly means to be strong. What did you think of Danny's response? Did he go too far, or was Joy completely out of line? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable moments like this.